tried to do this live twice on Instagram, but it was not happening. So we're going to do it here on YouTube, and I haven't seen the fam in a while. I do know that it is quite early for some of you, in fact, for most of you in the States. But I will trust that those who need to hear this message will catch it in the replay, so to speak. So, today I am going to be talking about spirituality and privilege, but not so much from a political theory point of view. There are many, many, many people talking about that in terms of what privilege is, why we need to counter it, and why the world is not sustainable when we continue favoring some over others for completely arbitrary reasons. Um, but we're going to be talking about what privilege feels like from the spiritual perspective. So today I was thinking about this because I've been doing a little bit of traveling around, mostly for health reasons. So it's not, leisure travel, it's getting tests done and stuff. I'm slowly regaining some mobility, which is good, but it is a journey and I need all the help I can get. So I was going to get some tests done. And the first neighborhood I went to is where I usually go to see my chiropractor. He's a very sweet man. And and he helps me a lot. So that neighborhood is filled, it's kind of middle class. There's a lot of shops, there's a lot of medical shops, there's a lot of food vendors, there's hawkers, there's the occasional rat running around. And it's a place where people are just keep moving. It's bustling, it's alive. And you see all kinds of people there. It's not just a particular type of person. And it's a neighborhood that I enjoy visiting with my brother as well, though we usually end up going there for health stuff. And so one of the things that I notice is here people are very visibly flying the Palestinian flag, and people were just kind of out and out doing their thing, which was great. Though I do want to say happy birthday, Kimberly, before I continue the narrative. And Lisa, nice to see you. So that's the first neighborhood, and it's one that I generally enjoy. The second neighborhood in Malaysia, which is the country that I'm currently in, it looked very pretty, and it's the neighborhood that people effectively associate with wealth, with power, with status, with all of that stuff. In fact, most people, have the idea that if you have a shop there or something like that, you've already made it. You're rolling in the big bucks, and it's a place where all of the expats go. And I used to live close by to this because, I was raised in such a way that valued status, that valued seeming like you're better than everyone else, even though I routinely resisted that, even growing up, something about that didn't sit right. So I went to this neighborhood by myself, and everything was pretty. You could tell that they really hired the A plus 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 architects. There was a lot of green, and someone had obviously thought about city planning and so on. And none of that was the bad thing. But the people, they looked really pretty. It was like clearly everyone has got their own personal manicurist and beautician and so on and so forth. It's good for them. No judgment on that. But they all looked so dead. They looked so dead. And I was like, okay. So I was just watching people go by and heading to my destination. And when I got there, it was this mall. And there were all of these very beautiful Christmassy decorations. And everyone was like trying to get into the festive season. Not one single Palestinian flag, mind you. And everyone there just looked like they were busy pretending to be the way Americans are shown here and to many other parts of the world, which is, again, I went to the US. I had an opportunity to live there and work there, and I said no a long time ago for precisely that reason. No offense to the people actually living there, but I just knew this was not the right vibe for me. But it's this very Starbucksy capitalist presentation of what a good life should be, what a good society should be, and everyone was walking around looking that, playing that role, playing that path. And if you followed me, you know that I don't really give much credence to that. I'll just show up the way I am, and that's about it. So I was walking around, still respectable enough, and I went and asked someone for directions because the place I was going to did not think that directions would be needed. I said, okay, fine. At me, like you could see her energy just jump backwards from her skin. She just wanted to flee. And finally, she realized I was just asking her for directions. And, then she gave me bad directions, mind you, which made me walk even longer and which was painful. But I finally got to where I needed. But the one spark of life I actually saw, despite there being so much of green and so much of quote unquote beautiful things there, the one spark of life I saw was her daughter. And the daughter was smart. The daughter waited for the mother to leave, and the mother was walking away. And she turned and she just looked and she smiled, and she didn't want to stop looking at me. That, and that's my little daughter. And she didn't want to stop looking. And that was the only spark of life that I saw in that whole space, that was so manicured, so perfect, so beautiful. That was the only spark of life I saw. And then I looked around, I got what I needed to get done, and then I really just had to clear my vibe off of that space because it was choking me. And then in retrospect, I realized what it was. What it was capitalism. I can't really, yes, she's signifying. And what it was capitalism. I just can't stand the vibe of places that have that snooty, better than thou attitude. I can't stand it. And this is the thing. By sheer accident, ended up going to a university in the UK that technically is comparable to the Ivy League. Even when I was there, I refused to stay on campus because of that vibe. And at that time, this is before I made my spiritual work public and really committed to this path. I didn't know why I hated it, but I hated it. And now, going into this type of domain with the eyes and the psychic sensitivity that I do, I realize that this in itself is part of the capitalist mind virus that enslaves people and turns them into puppets. This is how people get hollowed out. This is how people lose their humanity, instead just wanting to focus on wealth, status, and looking good. I hope that little girl manages to break out of the conditioning that everyone else there is unfortunately being subjected to. But yeah, it was two different worlds. It was night and day. But it was just it just prompted certain reflections for me at the very least. And I realized deep within myself something that I'd always known but never really put into words. There is a frequency and an energy that is associated with privilege. And once you see it for what it is, once you see blatant capitalism for what it is, you will want to vomit. That's probably why, all of the holy people of the past decided to go sit on a mountain. They probably had some equivalent in their space at the time and just looked at it and went, nah. So, yes, apparently I now have, near nausea inducing reactions to going about in supposedly posh spaces. I would say the most posh thing about me is that, yeah, I do like some things. Like my brother likes making fun of me because I like Earl Grey tea. And, obviously that's some, I've always liked tea. That's a thing that I do. But I told him there's a difference between liking that stuff and liking them in a way that you are consciously projecting yourself as better than the other. And that is what privilege does. Privilege surrounds you with this very empty idea that if you dress the right way, if you look the right way, if you hold your energy in what is considered to be aesthetic in the right way, you will somehow be better than the person next to you. And they're caught. They are absolutely caught. And I was just like, you know, I hadn't really looked at this place psychically, and now I have. I don't think I can ever go back. And it's not too surprising for me because throughout my life, I've routinely said no to privilege. I've given up opportunities for work, scholarships that would have positioned me in certain institutions of power anytime it came up because it never felt right. I had the opportunity to go and actually be a replacement professor in a university in America, and I know had that been my life path, I would have definitely left having seen what's going on right now. Because when I get very passionate about something politically, I turn into a very different person. I would have just been like, nope, can't deal with it. I need to do something that actually brings me peace of mind and does not push me onto a different road. The same thing in the UK, the same thing in Germany. And that didn't come from having wealth, that came from going on merit based scholarships because I had a brain and I used it. And I just couldn't stay in any of these places. And it's not to say that anywhere that's out of the Western world is somehow better. I stayed for many years in India and I found that it had its own caste base and ethnic privileges system there that I just couldn't get along with. It's not better in where I am right now because there are still racial differentials here. But I just cannot stand that frequency anymore. It's just so inimical. And when I see people try to do spiritual work within that bubble, the results are disastrous. Like I saw this one person walking out from somewhere that should have been beneficial and healthy for her. She looked like she was in a trance. And I looked at her aura, I was just like, what kind of sludge have you been swimming in? And they have no idea. And this is why I'm very suspicious about people who want to situate spirituality as a luxury product, as something that you have earned because you have the mullah or the dollar power to purchase it. Because it doesn't work that way. Spirituality stands with the heart. And when you actually live from the heart, you cannot ignore suffering. You cannot ignore the person next to you who does not have food. You cannot ignore the person next to you who seems a little lost or doesn't know where they're going. You will at least reach out with some measure of compassion. But obviously, there are people who ignore this. I forget her name, but there's a woman on Instagram who has been calling out people left, right, and center for not being more engaged on Palestine despite building their platform on an entirely spiritual basis. And I respect her for doing that because the wake up call has yet to hit this community. It's still existing in this little bubble. See, it's actually very easy to make a person feel good spiritually. All you have to do is manipulate them. And if you know how to work with energy, you know how to manipulate people. But is that actual spirituality? No, it is not. It is a psychic gimmick. Which is why when people go into these spaces and they come out feeling like they feel good, it wears off and they have to go back to the same thing again and not get the healing that they were actually looking for. Because when you situate your practice in a space steeped with privilege and exclusion, that is the energy that you are able to generate. Those are the back doors that you will create not only in yourself but in your clients. So, this it's for me saying this is a little bit cathartic. And I am no stranger to going into a space and feeling unwelcome. That's happened in every country I've gone because wherever I go, I bring a frequency of truth. I bring a frequency of what are you doing? Even if I'm just saying, hi, do I go left or right here? That's just part and parcel of who I am. So that's not the complaint. It's the issue is that people are blind to this. And I can understand why a lot of people don't want to wake up because when you wake up, you will not be able to live in the way that you did before. You won't be able to see, for example, having a latte at Starbucks as either a luxury treat or even an entitlement you have every day. You won't be able to do all of those things. You will actually have to start thinking about every decision you make, where you go, where you eat, who you support, what you do, and how that sits with the innermost core of you. Capitalism dulls people. Capitalism and success in combination dulls people and makes it easy for them to ignore life because it already presents a value of success that isn't actually real. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't have abundance. It doesn't mean that people can't have, a secure life. I'm not saying that. When I'm talking about capitalism and privilege, it is when you are in this certain bubble, in this certain space in which you feel invulnerable. And of course, there are many different meanings of privilege. This institutional privilege and so on and so forth. We're not getting into all of that. But just look at what spaces you speak spirit in. Are these spaces that include or are they spaces that exclude? Are they places that are transparent in their connection with spirit, or are they places that occlude because they've got the right title, the right books, the right this, the right that? It just give you an image of spirituality without any of the real substance. You know, see what I mean? So those are the things that I was thinking about today, and as I said, also needed to vent a little bit because oh, can't do it. Just can't do it. I mean, I have no issues with people who want to put up Christmas decorations this year, but this year we're actually not celebrating Christmas in solidarity, and I'm just been thinking of ways to observe Yule and ways to observe the end of the year, but I just can't do I can't do the mall thing anymore, which is a big deal in this country because in this country the pastime is to just walk in malls and go and buy stuff. I just can't do it anymore. I just can't take the vibe of it anymore. But that's just my day. So that's what I've been up to today. If you have any questions or comments with respect to this, let me know. Or if there's anything else you want to ask me about since I'm here, let me know. It's always good to know that YouTube won't try to censor my lives, though Instagram always have issues. Barnett says yes to no commercial Xmas. It's about the return of the light, not putting yourself into debt until spring. I totally agree. I mean, yeah. I mean, one of the things, if one of the things we can talk about a little. I mean, one of the reasons I'm actually not celebrating Christmas this year and definitely not participating in the commercial cult that has become Christmas is also because of what's happening in Palestine. The Munta Isaac, I believe is his name, is the priest at Bethlehem, which of course is the birthplace of Christ. And he basically, it's abhorrent to celebrate Christmas during a genocide. Yeah. In fact, the nativity in Bethlehem this year is an image of baby Jesus sitting in the rubble. And the adults are looking around trying to find him. And he just said, look, if Jesus was born now, he would be born under the rubble. So when I heard that and I looked at that, I was like, if Bethlehem and Jerusalem are doing this, why the F are people celebrating this year? It makes no sense. But commercialism. Commercialism doesn't want you to think about that stuff. Capitalism wants you to turn off your brain. It just wants you to consume. And, that's something that I've become super, super, super aware of as well. I mean, I'm just putting all of this stuff into words. Um, Here we go. Kimberly says, I've long stopped celebrating the holidays after my mother's passing. I just saw no point afterwards. I mainly celebrated for her. Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, I totally understand that people are kids and kids are excited about things, but some perspective would be good. I actually, kind of shook the hornet's nest a bit on Instagram, and there's this guy doing a sea shanty version of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. And he said in the lyrics, he took one of the amended versions of the lyrics and said, in Bethlehem in Israel. And I said, well, it's time to change it. Bethlehem is in Palestine. And that emitted a huge, huge, huge tirade of evangelical Christians on my butt. But of course, I dealt with all of them and, moved along and decided to focus my energy on useful things. People are so, placed into such boxes through this mind virus that they can't even realize that. And challenging that seems like a big affront to the entire identity. Barnett says, I love the realness and candor of baby Jesus amidst rubble. This is the truth we need. Bhuvam asks, hi, I'm new. What do we talk about on this channel? This is a good question. I am Dr. Bhairavi. I am also known as the Sky Priestess. I talk about spirituality, politics, ecology, my day, cats, comic books, lots of superheroes, lots of stuff. It also just depends on what's happening in the skies and what's happening on Earth. So there's a lot of stuff. You may want to go back and look at my previous videos to get a sense of things. So it's a bit of an eclectic mix of things that are useful to know. But I also do talk about decolonization and its importance in spirituality. Quite a fair bit. Maria Mosquet says, this is so where I'm at and indeed where I've always been. But this year, despite going, you know what, Christmas is cancelled, that's fine. I am celebrating my birthday, which is on the 23rd. So this year I will actually get a present for my birthday, which is not a birthday Christmas combo. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Kimberly says, yes, they are. No wonder there's such a push against those of us who are active, who are awake and aware and proactive. Yes, yes. The more you push at it, the more other you get. And even if you're doing nothing wrong, you're just standing there asking for directions. I mean, you read about this a lot, especially in stateside, where you see black men basically talk. Even my brother had this experience in Canada. People just moving out of their way, or getting really upset or scared if they go near them, and they're doing absolutely nothing wrong. But this also happens in other parts of the world where you are real and where you are not willing to feed into that capitalist agenda. Yeah, you get othered. That's what it is. Barnett says, I missed it if you've already addressed it, but what say you of the current meteor shower? Well, catch it if your skies are clear enough. To be fair, happens every year, but so do a lot of meteor showers. So, it's something that we annually deal with anyway. I wouldn't say it's anything that's super, super, super significant more than usual. Here, we're lucky if we can see the stars, whether or not it's raining, because there's just so much smog. So, but yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to share that little snippet with you guys and talk a little bit about stuff that's been on my mind. I did find today something that made me, on the one hand, go, oh, but on the other hand, go, oh God, why? I found this little 8-year-old, no, 8 or 9, a little 9-year-old girl. She's Afro-Arabic, and you can see she has both those genetic inheritances, and she's a journalist in Gaza. This sweet little child who has a little press helmet and a press jacket, and she's interviewing Bishan, who is one of the more prominent journalists. And my heart just went, oh, and at the same time, oh God, why? So, that's something that, on the one hand, I'm so happy that she's pursuing her passion, but so sad that it has to be under such dangerous circumstances. So, that was also something I found out today. Shannon says, totally agree about privilege and spirituality. I've seen this for a long time now in the US. I was raised in a New Age church where people were obsessed with manifesting material crap. See, I got issues with manifestation. Not to say that things don't manifest in my life, because they do, but I got issues with the way they talk about it. Like, I was also looking at people who are basically saying, visualize what you want into being, feel everything with your body, visualize what you want to see happening. And I'm like, okay, that's a little better. But at the end of the day, when we try to manifest stuff, we are effectively playing around with magic. And we are effectively casting spells into the world, which, depending on your tradition, is not a bad thing. Some people thrive off of this. Some people make their entire identities around this. Nothing wrong with that. But in my case, at the very least, on my road with spirituality, I have found that the best manifestation is to actually step back and let spirit work and trust that you will receive what you need to receive when you are ready to receive it. And that doesn't mean that you stop doing your inner work. You keep doing your inner work, you keep looking for opportunities, but you remain in that state of openness. And you remain in that state of humility. And you remain in that state of trust. And that's how I go about things. Because the way I see people talking about manifestation, even in their best of intentions, to me, it just seems like you're playing around with your own karma and you're going to find out eventually. Things like that will have an effect. They will work. But will they actually work for you at the spiritual level in terms of the growth of your soul? That one I can't. I can't sign on to that part. Just keep doing your inner work, speak to the universe, and see what comes up. That's honestly what people need to do. Any more than that, and you're already starting to tamper with things. But, Shannon says that type of manifestation can be manipulation. Exactly. Yes, let spirit manifest for you. I mean, at the end of the day, I choose to believe in, in if you want to call it divinity, God, goddess, reality, whatever you want to call it, I choose to believe in a reality that wants us to thrive. That is a choice that I make. I don't believe that divinity is apathetic. I don't believe that it just sits there and laughs at us like a cosmic joke. I believe that help comes, but help doesn't come on your timing. And when you try to force timing that isn't right, you just end up shooting yourself in the foot. It might not be now, but it will be at some point. Let go of the crap and just sit with spirit, and what you need will come to you. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask for help, but if you do, make sure that it is guided. Make sure that it actually comes from a space that is not fueled by your anxieties, but by grace. That shit you can't make money on. So people don't teach it. But, those are just my thoughts. Barnett says, I'm trying to be less repulsed when people get on the manifestation spiel. I also always feel like it's better to get present, hold an intention, and get out of the way. Chop wood, carry water. Completely agree. Min Young says, hi, lots of love from Korea. Hello, Min Young. I'm in Malaysia. Hi, hi. I do not know which Korea you are from. I'm going to assume South Korea. Um, Thumbs up. I love kimchi. And the next comment is in Japanese, and unfortunately, uh, I do not understand Japanese, but I can say konnichiwa. So, hello. I see new faces. So, what else should we talk about? Are there any questions or things that you may want to talk about? Just let me know. And Min Yang says, "Oh, you love kimchi?" Yes, yes, I do. I do love kimchi. Kimchi, I enjoy. I like bibimbap. I like bulgogi. Um, yeah, Korean food is good. It is good. Serge Moreno says, "How did you all feel the new moon? Vivid dreams." Okay. Barnett says, not to be trite, but I recently discovered guachong and I love it. Oh, good. We have Korean foodies here. Oh, sorry, I don't speak English. It's okay. It's okay. But thank you for saying hello. So, Search says, how did you feel the new moon? Well, actually, I did a really long article on the new moon, like a long article, because the new moon is in conjunct Uranus, and you can find the link in my the community page. You can find the link there. It was a really long article, or just go to theskypriestess.com. But vivid dreams make sense. Makes sense. Hearts Unite goes, is it possible to do spiritual work within those highly capitalistic spaces? I don't think so. It's one of the reasons why I left California before doing a session work there. I know when I was doing my tour of the US, I went to California and I listened to the land and I kept listening to the land. And it was very, very clear that it did not need any more energies meddling with it. Personally, no. I would say absolutely not. You can do a minimum amount of work, but it is essentially the same as doing your laundry in dirty water. If you're in a space within that is already saturated with that vibration of exclusion and that vibration of hidden oppression, how are you supposed to go to work? But that's just my view. That's why I have not opened up a little cult in California somewhere. Though I would make a lot of money if I did, but no, that's not for me. Let's see. Barnett says it's possible and necessary, but you will be othered and rejected. Yeah. Understand. Min Young says, nice to meet you so much, everyone. Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you. It's a very welcoming community, but we do deal with very hard topics: spirituality, politics, capitalism, protest. And, I am someone who is very much in favor of people having decent lives. Shannon says, the landscape is so beautiful in California, but the vibe is so weird. That is exactly what I found. So I'll tell you a funny story. I flew into Hollywood. I think what is it called? Burbank Airport. I flew into Hollywood. And as I was landing the plane, now mind you, I had always seen cliches about it, but I didn't really know it. As I was flying into it, I could feel the opioid haze in the air. And I went, oh God, this is going to be a very ungrounded place. I could feel it as the plane was landing. Sky Priestess. The name Sky is there for a reason. And and I Hollyweird, yeah, that's a good one. And so I stayed there for about a week, and I just could not. I could not. I just could not. It was very strange. Now I'm sure there are parts of California that have very sacred energy still, but it is a very mixed bag because there is a huge difference in the vibration of seeded versus unseeded land, which is why you will find the vibration a little better in places like New York. Little better. It has its own stuff at this point, but a little better. I, Min Young is sending hearts. Oh, that's very sweet. Um, yeah, yeah. But let me all tell you something funny that happened. Since I guess it's an unofficial hello neighbor. So the other day, as part of my quest to go and try and heal, I had to go do blood work. And my veins are tiny. It doesn't matter what size I am, because I actually don't eat much, but I'm large, but I really don't eat much. But it doesn't matter what size I am, my veins tend to be very, very small. And it takes a doctor at a hospital anywhere between 5 to 10 different stabs on my hands to go and get a vein. So, which is why I hate getting blood tests, because it's not even the needle, it's just that I know it's going to go in many times. So in fact, I recently went to a place and the doctor was a very sweet man. And he kept tapping my hand going, but I feel it. It's there. I know it's there. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's a vein. But he just couldn't get it. And I had to like wait for a week before trying again because my hand was in so much pain. So then I go to this other clinic. I just have a good feeling and I go there. And there's a young doctor there. I explain the situation. And he tries to do it the first few times. It doesn't work. He uses an ultrasound machine to try and get the vein. It doesn't work. And at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it's just not going to happen. So the doctor looks at me. And if you are an anime fan, you can picture this. This young Asian guy. And he's like, I have confidence in my ability, but you're making me doubt myself. And I look at him and I go, it's okay. I see these burning embers in his eyes. And he decides that he's going to try it without the ultrasound, pops one hand open, and then he just waits and he successfully manages to find the vein somehow. And at this point, I'm praying the whole time because I just want a blood test. So when he gets done with it, he's so relieved. He just flumps on the chair, tears his gloves off, and just slaps them down on the table. It was the whole episode took an hour. I think he will never forget it. I will never forget it. That was probably the most intense blood taking episode he's ever had in his life. So, but if the future for my medical needs, I shall be going there. But it was definitely very anime and very epic. Just to get blood, the story of my life. So, hopefully blood tests come back and things will be okay. But we'll see. But yes, anime doctor, anime doctor. So that happened, and I was like laughing about that the whole day. It was hilarious, completely hilarious. But I did want to mention that to you when I was like when I would go live and do a hello neighbor or just say hi or whatever. We started talking about spirituality and privilege. Finished that topic. Now we're just talking about other stuff. Um, but to be fair, it was also in a very non-privileged part of the town. It was like more low, and we're back. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. The feed stopped. See, the internet doesn't like me talking about capitalism and the fact that it has its own nasty little vibration. It didn't even work at all on Instagram. It really didn't. But yeah, so that's the stuff that's been going on recently. Still trying to work my way up to healing and doing stuff as best I can. I did have one of those biomagnetic readings done as well because I like getting different angles of a situation. Okay, bye. Bye, Min Young. And oh, okay, go to school. Oh, we had a young Korean guy here. Okay, okay. So, I had a biometric type scan, energy scan done. And, things were as I thought it would be. Definitely someone recovering from long COVID and a whole bunch of spiritual stuff. Well, what I noticed was that my heart chakra was apparently super, super outward focused, which makes sense. So I went, okay, maybe I need to be doing a lot more fun things for myself, which has been difficult because I found out that the leg injury that I had a couple of months ago, which basically meant what little mobility I had got taken away, I basically managed to tear my tendon. So I was stuck on a sofa for about 5, 6 months. And now I'm finally able to get up and go get some healthcare stuff done. I have to, shout out to the community because there was someone who stepped forward and realizing it's my birthday, or rather birthday month, she sent me some money so I could go get all of this health stuff done. And I was really grateful for that because you can't do anything if you don't have that. I didn't say you got to be poor. I just said don't sit in the bubble of privilege. There are two different things. But yeah, I also did get a biomagnetic type scan done. And yes, as Barnett says, Care Bear heart chakra. Been a bit too outward, even though I've been sitting on a sofa for 5 months. But yeah, I'm going to try and do something nice. Um, I'm debating whether or not I'm going to try making eggnog for my birthday. Debating. So that would be something nice. Because it's true. I do spend most of my time caring for people, whether it's my little cat family with my brother, or whether it's you guys, or whether it's clients. It's always outward focused. So maybe I'll go do something nice. So wish me luck in finding what that is. But yeah, so I'd say this has been a nice little chat. And I hope that you guys got, guys, girls, people of different genders, I hope you got some perspective. Um, and it's always good talking and also decompressing. So I send all of you. Oh, what's the latest with the cats? They're quiet. This is a good question. So we found out that Joshua has gallbladder stones. So that's why he yells a lot. So he's in medication, and we had to go deal with that. We had to sedate him because the poor little guy gets really scared. So I was holding him for hours and singing him his songs. He likes my voice, and even when he's like totally sedated, the moment I talk to him, his tongue will flicker, and I know, okay, he's listening. So Josh is under meds. Ariel is fine. I think she knows her brother is not well, and she's probably been a little bit more defensive. Um, oh, the cat that was always intruding, that's Joshua. He's the one that goes, wow, wow. Yeah. The one which just got the higher pitched wow is Ariel, his sister. I guess she's been a little bit worried about her brother. Lucky Cat is too cool for school. Hanuki Cat she's now 6, so she prefers to just sit and chill, which is fine, and she likes being held, and she likes her songs. All of these children are very musical. So they're okay, but I think they're a little bit subdued with the vibe in the air, um, and so on and so forth. Though today I did make up a story for them, and they were very listening very attentively. Like when I say these are children, these are children. When we watch Lord of the Rings, they literally sit and come and watch. They're not just looking like, what's that? They actually sit and watch. So, they're a little down, but hopefully we'll pull through and do something nice. And Josh will be okay. We're going to trust that. Um, but yeah, that's the story with the little guys. Not too happy about that, but it's a stressful time on the planet, and sensitive beings are going to take a whack, and they're all super sensitive beings. So, you know, but we've also got Josh, testosterone test on the way for Josh, because I want to see if anything there is the matter. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's what's going on. But thank you for asking. It is very appreciated. So it's a process of do all your best. Let spirit work with you. Don't try to push your own plans or projections, and go with faith. End of the day, that's what's kept us literally alive. But yeah, I'd say that's a wrap. And I send all of you lots and lots and lots of love. very many hugs, very many blessings, and hopefully this little chat has been refreshing and perhaps to some of you illuminating. So that's a wrap. Take care and ciao ciao for now, everyone. Bye bye. Oh, love to all of you. Bye bye.